Oh, let's put that over here. What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, and we can get this show started. We have a lot to talk about, so we're gonna dive right into this right here. I'm glad to be back. So, man, I want to talk about two of the top and more boxers, but two of the top most scariest men in boxing right now, which I believe one of them is Naoya Inoue, the Japanese superstar, and the Puerto Rican superstar, Subriel Matias. They are two um, big names and really some in one case really avoidable, and in another instance avoidable, but they're everyone's curious. So we're going to be breaking down these two fighters and much more. Salute to all of you that are joining the channel. My man Hector, Armando, what's good, guys? How you guys doing today? How's everyone feeling? Let's talk boxing. Where's everything start? Round one. You know it. Okay, guys. So, one would you like me to break down first? I'm gonna take Subriel Matias, right? And I want to talk about him off the rip because I want this to also stay in my fresh in my mind. You know, when we talk about titles and things of these natures, I just want to point out a couple things. Okay, now one thing with Subriel Matias right now is that I couldn't help but notice, and this has been an argument with me, my boys, my friends for years, about the ringside magazine belt and the literal belt. Me and my boys, we used to go back and forth with each other. Yo, the ringside's not a real belt. Oh, yes, it is. It's one of the most prestigious. It's been around. It was in the Rocky movie, for God's sake. Right? We used to go at it with each other, right? And as I grew up and I started to learn more about boxing, I kind of realized that the ringside belt, not everybody can get it. And the ringside belt is not properly awarded in a lot of situations. But yet, when it is awarded to a fighter, you want me to take it serious. For instance, I just happened to notice this though, but I believe Subriel Matias and Ponce was the number one and number two rank in their division for the IBF. They were number one and number two. The Ringside Magazine is awarded to the number one when he fights the number two. Whoever wins out of that supposed to get the Ringside Magazine belt. Did any of them get the Ringside Magazine belt? So if you can't win the Ringside Magazine belt in every weight division, you can't beat another fighter for it. Meaning, like, I can't put the ringside belt on the line. Kind of. They do put the literal one on the line. They breaking like major rules here, right? But technically that's what they be doing, right? But is there a literal belt in every weight division? Is there a ringside magazine belt in every weight division? And can anyone stand to win it? If there's certain rules about getting a ringside magazine belt, well, then guess what? If anybody can't get it, it's not a real belt. I'm sorry. If it's awarded to you, it's in the name award. That's what it is. It's an award that you could wrap around your waist. And I used to try to tell my mans that I was like, bro, all it is an award. It's like, in some aspects, it's the people's champion, right? Like the literal one. It's like who we deem because okay, listen, there were belts and laws that were made way back then. The men and women that opposed those belts is why we kept them around and we accepted them because we couldn't forget about the greats and the legends, our forefathers of boxing. You don't, those men that brought you those cheers and those ahs and those moments and really played, whether you were a fan or you were a boxer or you shared the ring with that man, they didn't allow those belts to fall. But in over time, in courses of events, it's changing to a popularity contest. Oscar De La Hoya owns Ringside Magazine. Wow, a lot of Mexicans seem to have that belt. What a coincidence, right? So, like, you know, um, but the Japanese superstar also was a holder of the Ringside Magazine. Like I said, it is prestigious. It is. But if every man and woman can't stand to win it, then it's not a fair belt. Not like all of these. There's a ranking system. You got to put yourself into the ranking system. Like when you come into boxing, they don't automatically just pick you. Hey, yeah, you're ranked number. No, you got to let them know that you want to go into their ranking system and move your way up the ranking system up the ladder to compete for one of the belts. Unless you notify them, you're just fighting. You got to pay sanctioning fees to these organizations. You have to understand that this is a sport, right? Okay. Then it is also what? A business. Okay. Meaning that these belts right here, yo, they provide you the world stage, the bright lights, the cameras, and their belt. And the men and women that have held those same belts, when you put that belt around your waist, you think about your great legend that once held that belt. Tell me how you feel then. You see? So you're at your job. You're getting paid. You're a professional athlete, boxer. You see? And you must continue, they got to keep this shit prestigious. So like I was saying, like I was like, didn't Subriel Matias just fight the number one and the number two guy? Why didn't they award him the Ringside Magazine belt? And I was like, see, that's that bullshit right there. Yo, no sooner than this guy fought, yo, they tried strapping every belt around him. Kudos to him for while in the ring. This is how slick they be, right? Check it out. He won a real belt that day, right? I forget which belt it was. I don't want to guess. Forget. I think it was the WBC, man. He won a belt that day, right? A real belt. Then they came and they tried to put another belt on his left side. The guy already had it in his hand. He was like, doo, 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 doo. And he went to put it, and this, hey yo, he said, slide. Yo, he was like, he looked at the guy and told him, "Is that a real world title?" And the guy said, "Yeah, championship." And he says, "No, is it a real? Or is it what I'm asking you is it an interim belt?" And the guy said, "Yes, it's an interim belt." And he went to put it back on his shoulder, and he said, "I don't want it." And he went like that. And thank you for, offering and everything. I'm good. He didn't tie himself to none of them belts, real championship belt or nothing. He doesn't have those interim kind of belts. And the lowest belt he has, I believe it's like an Oriental, but that's a must. You must get that. Like when you're fighting in your country, like the top Mexican fighter, you got to get that top Mexican belt. If you're in Russia and you're like the Russian heavyweight, you need that. You want that because you're going to prove that you're the best where you're from. Everybody's going to back you and you start to push, through. Like I talked about that fight with the Japanese superstar and Ryu, right? I never saw that fight until just recently, the entire fight. I watched it. It was an amazing fight, but that's where he really separated himself. That now Japan, because I did a little research on that and I really found out that the other guy, a lot of, they Japan was kind of split. They were kind of split in the middle. They were like, no, some guys were this way because the more I look into it, he was hot. He was hot still during that time. They both had their, so, he took off. But so Subriel Matias, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, he's being talked about with Rivera right now. His father Sasa, he has a fight. Liam right here. Um, he has Liam in front of him, and then after that, we also have a lot of other unfinished business. We all still remember what Teofimo Lopez said, right? We all remember that. If you don't if you don't remember that, what was it that he said again? Teofimo Lopez? Oh,
skill.
Subriel Matias, no one knew about him until he started calling me out. It's just due to facts. You know, he could be an IBF world champion, but he's the most softest fighter in the division. Why I say that? Because he's one dimensional to the point where Puerto Ricans, man, I tear they butt up. Puerto Ricans are easy to beat. And I don't care if the Puerto Ricans feel some type of way. Put them in front of me, we beat them.
But is
y'all remember that shit, right? Y'all do remember that shit right there, right? So I know Rivera's talking all this shit, but I remember that right there, right? The fact that Tio also has a belt, I'm like, yeah, why don't we address that first? Right? I'm cool with that right there. Now, Tio's starting to talk a little bit in a different direction. I see what he's trying to do. You know, I mean, if you're willing to fight Jerron Boots Ennis, but you won't do it in your own weight division, take on Devin Haney or take on Subriel Matias, right? You know, why don't you concentrate on that? But maybe Tio has already accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And that's just get a world title in another division and move on. You don't actually you see the trend that's going around is that the fighter has to secure all four belts now because of the explosion in boxing. That's not true. All you need to be considered the division world champion is one real belt. That's it. You can vacate that belt and move up and go up three divisions, four divisions, like Naoya Inoue. But like Naoya Inoue, you know, he's just doing some crazy shit because I think this is his ninth fight for over two belts. In his last nine fights, he hasn't fought for under two belts and no fight. Not one, just like one belt on the line. No, his last nine fights have been two belts or better. Whether it was for two belts, three belts, four belts, but it's all two belts and up. Yeah. So he's just on some. He's just on. He's doing some dumb video game shit. I've talked about this. It's just sometimes I say I don't even like to bring some of this shit up because it just sounds ridiculous. It's like you be talking about Tom Brady and you're trying to compare him to the other guys. It's just getting stupid at this point. The only man that's right there with him, and it's because he mirrors his biggest accolade and he's a fucking phenomenal talent. All right. We're talking about the one and only Terrence Crawford. Okay. Fucking number one right there, okay? That should say it all. So it just goes to show you that, you know, there was a big explosion and a lot of people are like thinking, no, he has to get all belts. Well, not necessarily. Teofimo Lopez is serious as going down as a multiple division world champion. He completed what he needed to complete at this weight division, technically. He can move on. He moves up to 147. He has a couple big names up there and opportunities. And if he moves up to another weight division, that's another weight division where he will try to get another world title. Okay. Speaking of Terrence Crawford, right? You hear what's going on with Terrence Crawford, Tim Zoo, right? Okay. I listen, guys. This is and major YouTube channels have put this out there. Okay. So, you know, I go, I check my little sources and papers and articles. It's basically saying the same shit. Tim Zoo's manager or trainer, the guys, came out and said they want us to fight Errol Spence Jr. over Terrence Crawford and that they will vacate the WBO. Tim Zoo has been on, reported of being an old fashioned fighter, that he won't back down, or, he thrives for these big moments. Why would his manager speak for him? Unless that came out of Tim Zoo's mouth, that came out of that guy's mouth. I'm not even sure Tim Zoo knew that he said that until he said it. You know how some shit like that goes down? And guy makes speaks and we're all thinking that it's for him. Nah, bro. But but here are the facts. Just in case, okay. This is the truth. Okay. Um, Tim Zoo and Terrence Crawford have 5 days after his fight with Sebastian Fendora if he is successful. If Fendora is the winner, he has 5 days per order of the WBO to start negotiations with Terrence Crawford or vacate. So in 5 days, if he doesn't answer Terrence Crawford and tell him what, where, what they're gonna do about their fight to put it together, they strip him of the WBO. He only has 5 days. So whether or not he wants, and that's why his manager said, "Oh yeah, we'll just vacate the belt, and then we're gonna fight Terrence Crawford." Because mind you, if he vacates that belt, he'll have the new WBC world title, because that belt he's fighting, that that match he's fighting with Sebastian Fendora, is for two belts. So if he vacates the WBO, he'll still have one belt. You see, and his manager thinks that that's a good move. Or is it a move that he's just blatantly saying, I don't think Tim Zoo's ready for Terrence Crawford? They got to respect the man for who he is. Terrence Crawford is Terrence Crawford. And that ass whooping that he gave to Errol Spence Jr., although Errol Spence Jr., really wasn't himself, he was still Errol Spence Jr. And 99% of everyone else in all of boxing didn't do that to him. So you could say what you want. Oh, he looked bad. He didn't look this. He didn't look that, right? But he was better. 99% of everybody else lost to him. Terrence Crawford just exposed him. Terrence Crawford is a much sharper, skilled fighter, and it showed. I don't think that the best version, even the Errol Spence Jr. that fought Kell Brook, was going to do any better against Terrence Crawford. I think the fight would have looked a little different, but it would have been the same result. Maybe he wouldn't have knocked him down so many times, but it looks like Terrence Crawford had the power on his side, if I'm not mistaken. Errol Spence Jr. looked like that on those Buzz Bunny cartoons, when the lion's like, how many lumps do you want? And he's like 4 or 5. And he's twisted, he's fucked up. He's like this. He's like, oh, I had enough lumps, right? Yo, Errol had his shit was like this, bubbled. Tell me not. That what was it gonna change if he got better? Would the knots been smaller? That's Terrence Crawford still had that power. You know what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford was still gonna be Terrence Crawford, and he was gonna. Yo, listen, the outcome it would have just been a longer ass whooping. That's it. I believe. I don't think. Nah, he was just, and that's why a lot of people secretly respect Terrence Crawford. Do you see that move where that Tim Zoo might have not been had to been the one to come out and say blatantly, "Oh shit, I ain't fucking with this man." So he put his manager out there with gasoline drawers on. Go out there and tell him the news. I'll vacate that shit. Yo, that's his first belt he ever got emailed, because he didn't win it in the ring. I, I think he won the interim one though in the ring. So yeah, I can give him credit for the interim one. But until you solidify your world championship, see, the importance of a world championship is being ceremoniously put the belt on your waist in the ring. That's that's where the ceremony is complete right there. There have been men that didn't feel like champions because of that. One man in particular that memory comes to serve was Marvelous Hagler. When Marvelous Hagler won his first belt, I believe it was a WBC world title, I think it was, or IBF it was. I think he lost the first title. Um, they gave him a title opportunity, he had lost it, and it was a while, and then they gave him another one and he fought it, right? So anyway, the point is he was in the British out there, I think Wembley Stadium or some shit like that, right? Or Wilson or some shits, one of them famous boxing stadiums. I can't believe I can't remember this name, right? So what happened was this is what it was. Back then, it was the brother fighting their fighter, the white dude, right? And the white dude went on saying, I ain't gonna let this black dude beat me type shit, right? So when he didn't beat him. He destroyed him. Okay? This dude didn't have no chance. Marvelous was the marvelous one on that night, bro. He listen, oh my God, did he beat him? But what happened was is everybody threw stuff at him in the ring. They threw beer bottles. They was God knows what they threw. I'm not gonna guess, and I don't have to make the story worse. They threw so much stuff that they had to drag Marvelous Hagler out of the ring. He didn't want to leave. He wanted the belt to be put on his waist, and they didn't want to give him the belt. And the guy that had the belt in his hand, he was like up on the road, and they had him leave. And he wanted the belt, like, yo, I gotta put the belt on. I don't care about this. Yo, they was just throwing shit at him, and he was just put the belt on me. And they didn't put the belt on him, bro. Then he went home. They were like, "Yo, you're the champion," and he didn't feel like the champion until his next fight that they put the belt on him, and he was like, "I feel complete as a champion." He didn't. He was the first fighter in boxing history that was never awarded his belt while winning it as a champion in the ring. Marvelous Hagler. Yeah, man. But that ended up being a really good it ended up turning out in the end really good for him because of that black eye on that night, like their nation was like, yo, that's not us. These guys were drunk. These were just a group of individuals. This is not how we are as a country, a nation, as people. He went out there, became like a movie star and shit. He was like on posters. Marty's Marty, yeah, he was. He was, yo, he had all kinds of commercials. Shit, yo, they gave him like red carpet treatment, the key to the city type shit. He actually lived out the rest of his days, I believe, out there, if I'm not mistaken. Um, um, I think he was born in New York, raised in Massachusetts, and he trained out in Massachusetts and shit. The marvelous one, yo, he was a great fighter. Fuck, I need some water. Yes. Ah, yeah, he was a great fighter, man. Marvelous, man. It was a good time. But that's what I mean. When you get emailed a belt like Tim Zoo, and a lot of these guys, and Devin Haney's Tank Davis famous line, email champion, Devin Haney, which just in case you're wondering, Devin Haney, in fact, was never the first email champion in boxing history, and he's not the last. There were hundreds of people being notified by emails by upgrades. Okay. Such as like belts like the WBA. Okay. You can get the regular belt. Once you make title defenses, 1, 2 title defenses, they upgrade you to the super, which means you earn the status of being the highest awarded champion of their belt. You gotta like earn the super belt type shit. You see? So, and then they notify them through an email. Yo, you're upgraded, right after the fight, blah blah blah. It's just that the people ate it up and they fucking really drilled Devin Haney with that shit. I don't know why it stuck to him like that, because he was nowhere near the first champion that it was ever notified like that, right? But Tank Davis rocked him with that one line, and it fucked him up. But yeah, man. So so when Tim Zoo got the belt on the email, man, technically, right? Let's say, I'm not gonna say the man's gonna retire today, but if he was to retire and he tried to like submit a form to the Hall of Fame and you were emailed the belt and you never ceremoniously won it in the ring, do they give you credit for that? You think that they would give you at the door at the records? They're gonna be like, yeah, yeah, you were notified you were the champion. You didn't fight no one. You didn't beat anybody for that belt. How could they consider you a champion? That's what I'm saying. You got to, yeah, they got to put that motherfucker. You got to be like this. All right, we have to be doing an interview. Champion, I fought a great fight. I want to thank my opponent. First, I want to thank Jesus. I want to thank God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yo, you gotta do that before you know what I mean? You just gotta prove you're a champion. Am I wrong or am I right? Can I get an R1? Can I get a round one? What's up, Armando? What's up, Lionheart? Am I right, guys, though? You gotta secure that. You gotta have that belt put on you. You just can't be like, you know, what's up, baby? What's up, Lionheart? Ken, what's up? In the house, baby. Bang bang. What up? Yo, listen, guys. Yeah, man, you have to like the belt has to be um won by a fight. This is boxing. This is a combat sport. It's like telling me you were in the army. What'd you do? Oh, I was a typer. What you mean? Oh, listen, I got ill paper cuts. And one time, we were playing in the office, and the paper clip almost took my eye out. Okay? No, you're not a soldier, bro. Come on, man. That's the same fucking thing. Until you put a rifle in your hand, okay? You gotta beat somebody. That's what I'm saying. And I believe that the most of the real hard, boxers and us as fans, come on, man, we would recognize that shit. So that's odd that Tim Zoo, the first belt he gets, right? He'd be willing to vacate it to fight the loser, not the winner out of their fight. Does that make sense? Or does a picture start to present itself? Wait a minute. He don't want to fight him. If Tim Tszyu really vacates that belt, I'll tell you one person that's going to be fighting for that belt, Terrence Crawford. Who they're going to get to fight him? Hmm, I don't know. Has anybody heard from the Charlo twin? What is he doing? I don't know. And then other potential fights, right? Okay, so if you got Subriel Matias in with Liam right now, I thought a potential fight would have been with Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez seems to be wanting to move up. And like I talked about, he kind of did already what he needed to do in that division, which is secure a real world championship. That check, he qualifies to move up. And with that WBO title, it also puts him in line to fight the WBO champion up there, whoever that may be. You see? So, interesting enough, right? So I would have thought Subriel would have fought Teal, right? Okay. Now, another person that comes into mind, although he did lose, is Regis Progress. Do I think, I'm not gonna forget about him in the division. So I was like, wait a minute. So, but he doesn't have any belts. You see, and the hold up here with Rolly and Eastside People Cruz, I talked about it. I made a video about it. If Eastside People Cruz, congratulations if he wins that fight, that belt. But is he ready to defend the belt against who? These guys are just too big for him. But Eastside Pitbull Cruz would have did the same thing I'm talking about Teofimo Lopez doing. If he can come up to 140 pound and upset Rolly and win the 140-pound championship, that's all he technically has to do. That's it. He becomes a real world champion. He accomplishes his goal as a boxer. You're damn right I would have took that fight. I worry about the rest when it happens, but when it does, he's going to have to make some big boy decisions because the monsters that are standing in front of him, the other champions anyway, read the fucking murderous list off. Subriel Matias, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. Pick one. Who do you want? He ain't going nowhere, Poppy. And it's not because I wouldn't believe he wouldn't have a chance in the fight. I just believe that he's outsized and just outgunned. Simple, simple. They're not fighting. They wouldn't be fighting Isa Pitbull Cruz on an even playing field. Isa Pitbull Cruz would be at a disadvantage. Yes. In so many ways. Not only would he be blimped up, but this guy is fighting at his like natural weight. He's like comfortably. They're like cutting mad weight too anyway. And they're like, come on, man. These guys are huge. So that's why I said, but nevertheless, if Isak can pull that off, fucking go for it, my man. And then just go back down and use that as leverage. I was thinking about that, and I mentioned it in the video, and I was like, yeah, he could do that, he couldn't he? I was like, I was like, and then fuck it, you know what I mean? Once you're a world champion in this game, puppy, no one, and I mean no one, can take that away from you. Mm-mm. I tell you, baby. Huh? Listen, to the men and women that are given opportunities at a crack of the world title, you would think all of them would be taking it crazy seriously. How would you feel if someone said, yo, bro, you got 4 or 5 months to prepare and you're going to get a shot at the WBC welterweight championship of the world? Would you take it seriously? Would you do everything in your power to train for that day? Would you? And some people, it seems like, get this opportunity and they got nothing better to talk about but kids being abducted here. And some Ryan Garcia is just taking what so few boxers ever get an opportunity to get a title fight. There have been fighters that fought 7, 8, 6 years to come across their first world title or to feel comfortable enough as a fighter to try it. Or you were really good and a lot of people avoided you, like David the Monster Benavidez. How good of a champion would he have been right now if they weren't locking him out? I'll wait. I believe David the Monster Benavidez had the skill to hold all four of those belts too and defend them in that weight division. I believe he cleaned out everybody in that weight division. There's nobody. So if it wasn't for the fact that Saul Canelo Alvarez didn't give him a crack at those titles, he would have them. The proof is in the pudding, but he's not. And he's not going to go down in history as no kind of champion for this period of time. He has an interim world championship. That is not a world championship. See? So, uh, and that goes to show that some people, these opportunities don't come around every day. And when you're given an opportunity like that, man, it's so hard for these guys to say no. And believe me, some people have said no. Some people were trying to be slick about it and be like, rush the other guy. Yo, I'll give you a championship fight now. Yo, I just fought yesterday, bro. So take the fight. You got to take the fight. Bro, I fought yesterday. Like, you know what I'm saying? Trying to be slick, you know? And as a strategy, that's what they do. They try to and it's up to the guy to be smart. If he be desperate, he'll go in there after fresh off getting knocked out, and he'll be like, yo, I want to fight you right now. I'll fight you in 4 months. All right. The guy's a little embarrassed. He got knocked out. Doesn't know that it takes a while to for your body to come back from a concussion like that. You soon get in the ring and you get knocked out easier. Now you got two losses on your. There have been fighters that were lured in by either a belt or money, and they knew they shouldn't have came back too early. They just got knocked out or something, and and their confidence was down, and that was a good time to attack them. And the other fighter, they know this. It's a dirty sport. But I've seen Saul do moves like that too, in fact. I've seen that a lot of people do them. A lot of people have done moves like that, but not all boxers have to use gimmicks or ploys to win their fights. Some fighters, in fact, all they need, you see, some fighters, you don't have to control them. You don't have to like prop them up, get them to talk shit. You don't got to poke them or provoke them. All you have to do is unleash them. That's it. He ain't fuck you in the crowd, nothing, none of that. None of that does his talking. None of that. Champion. Give me the champion. Get him to come in the ring. I'm gonna show you what a champion looks like. Yo, he is truly something else, right? We've talked about it, and I was like looking at his fights and stuff, and I was saying to myself, man, it's sometimes was easy to look over a lot of the greats. And the reason why I know this guy's going to be great is because some of the things that like some like the Jordans, the Bradys, a lot of their accolades, they're looked over because they made it look so easy and they did it too good. I've talked about this. He he's on such a high rise. His only fault is that he's doing it a little too good. He really is. Because when they're gonna look back at it, he never defended all four belts at 118. He was so eager to, oh, nah, I'm gonna go up and I'll be your champion. No, and I mean this, like, look, man, and these are things that I say that get looked over. He said, no tune up, no acclimating to the division. They said, well, we have a lesser champion. He says, no. Who is your best champion right now? Stephen Kubo Fulton. I'll take him. They told him, you do not have to fight this guy. He says, no, I have the WBO. I will put in the paperwork if you don't let me fight him. So, and then Kubo accepted the fight. He wasn't like forced or whatever. So, that's what kind of shit he's on. And then like I knew when you talk about it, it's like, oh shit, yeah, he fought this guy. Okay, well, who's next? Well, then if you beat that guy, well, then who is next? What I mean? That's all they say. And some of the things that he did, like it goes over people's heads, and I'm just like, nah, man. The problem is that what I'm trying to tell you is, if I've never seen this in boxing, I've never seen this. Out of all the boxers I've ever heard of, talked about, watched in the living room, forced to watch with my dad and uncles, because all they would do is watch boxing over and over. Okay. I've never seen this. So if I've never listen, it's just this is that's why I mean that when an athlete does something so crazy, you know, um, you have to forget about what he did in order to talk about him with someone else. If you really sit back and think about it, they should never mention Patrick Mahomes' name in Tom with Tom Brady ever in the same sentence anyway. And that's the truth. But what do they do? They have to forget about what Tom Brady did, and in order to lower it to get Patrick Mahomes in the conversation. Because if you were to start a conversation, for instance, for shits and giggles, right, real quick, if you was to get in a conversation with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes to present date, just right now, anyway, right? So like right now, I'll just stop it right now. Boop, we stop it. Okay, they actually played in the league together. Oh, so while they were in the league together, what did they do? Oh, Tom Brady gave Patrick Mahomes his first career loss. Okay, Tom Brady gave Patrick Mahomes his first career home loss. Oh, okay. And he also gave him his playoffs loss. Okay. And he beat him in the Super Bowl. Well, what did Patrick Mahomes do to Tom Brady? So while they played in the league, that's what he did to him. But as soon as he's gone, they got no problem overlooking everything Tom did and just to put them in the same, you see, and that's how you know that they were really truly special. When you have to see them force and ignore their legendary status and what they're doing. He's doing so much shit that they're trying to ignore it. You have to understand that that's what they're doing. They're talking about, no, we're not going to acknowledge it right now. Let him retire, and we're going to do it the right way. Because for once they want to start using the rules because they know, they know. But there's a lot of things that can happen to a fighter. He has to, there's a beginning, a middle, the glory days and your prime, then the ending, you see? And, you can never know what a man or a woman decides to do. I can't guess that. I wish that you know um Ali stopped fighting a lot sooner. I do. I wish that a lot of fighters stopped a lot sooner. I wish Bernal Harpington, out of all fighters, would have stopped a lot sooner. They were just better champions, bro. And even though he beat my Felix Trinidad, bro, but I respect what he did, his role, his story. He came out of prison. He really and he knew himself as a fighter. He was a crafty Philadelphian fighter. And look, I, for as much as fucking Oscar De La Hoya pissed me the fuck off all the time, right? I respect the man, and boy was he a great champion. That young man won the big fights at a young age. I believe he was like 23 when he went against the other Mexican legend, Julio Cesar Chavez, and he was like 35. And Chavez was the legend and the torch was passed. That's how you solidify your legacy. You gotta fight fights like that, champions like that. That's real champion gladiator shit right there, bro. And for as much as I fucking dislike his ass, he's a fucking dog. Oscar De La Hoya stepped in the game with a fucking gold medal and the most fucking handsome fucking Mexican face. He was like the Superman Mexican in his time, right? Yo, he whip it back, all them, yo, they are throwing panties. Yo, he was the man, bro. You can't hate on him. I'm not gonna ever be a hater, bro, because Oscar he was living that life, and I don't care what he did or who said what or listen. Who the fuck am I to judge another man's life? What he do on his time with what his money? Yo, what he do in the ring? That's all I'm talking about. That's it. My man is successful, boss type dude. Yo, shouts out to you. Respect, Oscar. You the fucking man. You know what I mean? But he used to kick my Spanish dude fighters all the time. And I used to be tight until Felix got in that ass. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, that's why I watch boxing because this is the shit I be talking about, right? The excitement, ha ha. So yeah, man, yo, Mike Tyson gets called out overrated because he what dominated so hard. Uh, it was crazy. How was he called overrated? Because he dominated, so he was overrated. Okay, there were two halves of Michael Jordan. Like, I mean, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan came on with fucking Mike Tyson. There were two halves of Mike Tyson before the rape, after the rape type shit. You know, okay. When he really got involved with Don King and all them dudes and the prostitution, drugs, and everything came into his life, he wasn't really that man. And everybody that beat that version of Mike, they were beating an addict version of Mike. He was going through a time in his life where that if you don't know anything about drugs or you may have a family member or friend or whatever or you yourself, right? And you got to know yourself. It's when you start doing the drug itself, right? The problem is you think you're yourself talking, but it's not. It's like the drug changes you in a minute. For example, Mike Tyson's up in the room with the prostitute, right? And no, he's cool. He's cool in the game with her, right? Bam, bam. They get in there, bust open the bag. He sniffs it. Bam, he looks at her and he's like, "Tell me about your childhood." That's the fucking cocaine talking. You see? So before Mike found that out about himself and what addicts go through and shit, he's crying on interviews, giving them credit for whooping his ass. That wasn't Mike Tyson. That that was a shell version of an addict dude, not even understanding where his emotions and his feelings, like he didn't understand who was doing the driving in his head at that time. He wasn't clean enough to realize that. You see? When Mike really got off and started getting treatment and got married, and you see him now in his older age, Mike's always a dog. So his warrior heart inside, I'm pretty sure he has flashbacks of the man he once was. And to tell you the truth, he cracks Jake Paul. He get a little bit of subtle movement. Mike can still move, but it's just that if Jake Paul wakes up and blitzes him, if he blitzes him, and Mike can still just, Mike can see an opening. And let me tell you something right now about the human man. All right, just remember, guys, the last thing to go on a man is his strength. That's the last thing to go on us. Yeah, we might lose our ability to move fast in our knees as we age. Some of us don't got that reflex, but we're all built different. We are not built the same. And I know that for a fact, right? And might might look okay, right? But you don't know what you see. The one thing about Mike, which is really impressive and good, right? And I've talked about this, right? When you think about a boxer's career and a lot of the damages, fucking even Floyd Mayweather, I'm starting to notice that he gets lost sometimes in conversations on interviews. You ever see him when he doesn't know what to say? He's like, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the other fighters. Um, money team, money team. Um, he just sometimes you can see it, and that's those fights, the punches from them fights. Yes, it is. A lot of fighters watch, Look, I don't want to get into it. It's real nasty about that, but it starts to happen. But here's the thing about Mike Tyson situation. I believe anyway, the only ass whooping Mike Tyson's ever got in his career were the losses he lost. That's it. I've never seen or remember, even in sparring, anybody ever winning against Mike Tyson or lasting anything in his like the beginning and the middle of his career. Like I don't remember. He wasn't like your traditional boxer where a sense where like, no, he had like 6, 7 sparring guys there in the thing, and his coach would tell him, you can knock out the last 3 or so, or 1, because they started running out of fucking sparring. So Mike would want to knock out 1 sparring partner a day. He would tell his coach, no, you got to let me knock out at least 1, right? So I'm starting to think the reason why Mike got it all together up here so much is because the only punches he ever took in his entire career were the ass whoopings he got on that night. That's it. Not like a boxer that you got, I don't know, Saul Canelo Alvarez, 60 professional fights. You see all those wars he went in with Triple G, all them guys, all them wars. Now add all his sparring partners and all the sparring he's done in the amateur fights from a child. Add all that together, all that fighting, yo, my man. That's why they pay you all out of this money. At one, you're gonna pay for that. When David the Monster Benavidez fought Caleb Plant, I was like, fuck, stop that fight, bro. Fucking Caleb Plant is too tough for himself, man. It's too fucking tough, man. Fucking white dude, bro. David the Monster Benavidez took a couple years off his life. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, bro. And fucking when I I was like, damn, Caleb, just go down, my nigga. Like, you're not gonna. Nah, he kept just standing there. I was like, fuck, Caleb, motherfucker's just too tough for himself, right? So, but David the Monster had to do his job. He had to do his job. He was standing in front of him. Hey, let's bang, baby, let's bang. So, yeah, you know, but look, at the end of the day, these guys are going to put it all on the line to dare to be great. And it's wonderful to see some of these amazing fights. And, if you're like me, sometimes you like rooting for the underdog. Sometimes, you always stay with your guy. You know, um, I just think that we're going through a real interesting time right now in boxing. We have so many great fighters right now. I thought when Jess Tank Davis, the Devin Haney's, the Teofimo Lopez, and the Ryan Garcias were all young. Remember, it seemed like it was just yesterday, right? Where that they were like the 4 horsemen coming up in the 130, 135 weight division. And, now the 135 is like a ghost town. Shakur Stevenson still hasn't have an opponent named, or for what I haven't checked on him, recently yet, but he's still scheduled to fight, but he just haven't had an opponent. And Frank the Ghost Martin is going to come up against Tank Davis. But all that aside, you know, one of the biggest matches right now that you know, look, I forgot how long it's going to be since the last time we had a unification heavyweight championship of the world. I can't remember right now. I don't know why. I can't remember it, but that's gonna be a great time right there, and I wanna see that. You know, um, the first time we're gonna get a unified. I know it's not gonna be an American, right? For me anyway, because I want an American world champion right now. I mean, the last one was who? Dante Wilder. He was pretty a good one. He just didn't know how to box, but damn it, look how far a right hand brought you in your career. He got a monster right hand. Yo, That's gotta be a punch from the freaking, and that goes to speak a lot to a big guy like Tyson Fury, man. Huh? He got cracked by Dante Wilder like that more than once, and he still got up, man. And Francis Ngannou dropped him, and he still got up, man. That's fucking crazy, bro. He don't get enough credit for that, I don't think. I think in some circles he does because they recognize that. Because shit, coming into the Tyson Fury fight, I believe Dante Wilder had like he was 40 fights, 40 knockouts. That's a monster fucking record, bro. Or 39 knockouts or some shit. I think it was 40. I have to check it out. I believe it was 40. I'm pretty sure. Yo, that's a fucking monster record for a heavyweight. You had like 100% knockout ratio. That's fucking ridiculous. And you were a world champion and making successful title defenses. That's big. It's one thing to get the belt, but it's also another thing to defend it. Once you defend those belts, you become a more solidified world champion among world champions. They give you the nod because it is the truth. It is merit that look, once you are that's it. You're solidified as a real like king crown world champion right there you know and there are steps to securing all of that. First, you got to be the number one guy, then you got to fight for a world championship, and in some cases you have to make it the super. Once you make it the super, by then you would have successfully defended the belt numerous of times, which also checks that box off the list. And among champions, you are considered the top like that. But in all the other cases, like in Tim Zeus' case and Devin Haney's case, had they not successfully defended those belts, they would have been frowned upon. Or if they didn't fight the original champion. The only man in the boxing history that can pull that off and successfully get away with it, Saul Canelo Alvarez. If the champion was stripped of the belt and he wins it, he didn't have to respect that he was the champion and never lost it, and no one would ever give him any shit about it. He's the only man in boxing that can do that. Yeah. Everybody else, we would because it would be the truth. Okay, like say like Jermel Charlo right now is in that kind of situation. Do you guys really consider Tim Tszyu the champion right now? Tell me. Who do you consider the real champion? That proves my point right there. You see, you're gonna have to at some point. Tim Zoo's gonna have to fight that man, and just to like really like make it official that had we fought, I was gonna whoop your ass anyway. Isn't that the truth? You're gonna have, when the guy doesn't lose and he gets stripped, because you never beat the champion, the real champion anyway. You didn't, so and that's why that's like that, So, yeah. Let me answer some of your questions. No, then Pitbull, Rolly, they're not gonna unify. They're not the kind of fighters. They're lucky at being champions in the fucking first place. Never mind unifying. But as an organization, though, you always want your champion to represent your belt. Every time that belt goes around that waist and your champion keeps winning those fights, it makes his kind of championship legacy that much more prestigious. Am I right? Okay. How much prestigious could you possibly get out of those two men? Who are you looking for them to fight? You're gonna set them guys up to getting hurt. You're gonna boost you. Yo, what if Isaac Cruz wins the belt and goes absolutely crazy? Yo, you know how some fighters lose their mind? He gets some Eastside Pitbull Cruz losing his mind after winning the belt, the WBA world title. Hold on. Oh my god! Eastside Pitbull Cruz! Yo, listen. Chill, guard dog. Yo, listen. I am the greatest fighter on planet Earth. Okay? There has been never been a champion ever in the history of champions that is greater than me. Listen, I'll fight anybody. Subriel Matias, you're next. Listen, Devin Haney, I'll wipe the floor with you. Teofimo Lopez, look, just give me your belt right now. Give me the belt right now. And Tio, and yo, what if he loses his mind, right? And he starts calling everyone out. And he believes in the hype because he won the belt from Rolly. He believes that Rolly was the champion, right? And if you beat the champion, that must mean I'm good. Randy, you a punk. Listen, yo, what if he loses his mind? You know how boxers lose their mind, right? They start drinking the juice too much, right? And what happens to the guys that drink the El Jugo? I, I'm not going to do it because he was Puerto Rican. I will not bring this guy's up. He got destroyed. One punch knockout. Young Puerto Rican fighter. I'm not going to say his name. He didn't represent us. Yo, what if he loses his mind, bro? And he starts believing that he's really that good. And he starts calling out all the champions. They gonna get that man hurt. Yo, it would how would he fare against Subriel if I was being honest? All jokes aside, if I had to break down a fight like that, if for God's sake, if he was to actually be serious and say, yeah, I want to fight Subriel Matias, and I mean that's a possibility, ain't it? And what if we had to really cover that and break that down? I swear to fucking God, he wins that belt and calls Subriel out in the middle of the ring. And Subriel turns around and says, you know what, Rivera, all of you guys fall back. Chill. This is a unification. What you say? And what if we had to really break this shit down? Right? What do we got? 5'9", 5'10" against 5'3" and a half. Um right, height advantage is not always a thing. Here's the problem. Isai Pitbull Cruz is a forward pressure fighter. His entire fight strategy caters to Subriel Matias's fight strategy. And he wouldn't have to go anywhere. Isai Pitbull Cruz is gonna walk right to him, and Matias is gonna be like, "Man, you made this a lot easier than I need. I don't even have to chase you down. Okay, let's start right here." That's not gonna be good. I don't see how that can be good. So anyway, fight fans, man, look, man, it's a possibility. And hey, I don't. Hey, I've seen fighters do crazier shit, bro. I really have. And I saw fighters that really were, believed in their own shit, and they might have called out the wrong person, and they weren't ready, but they thought they were. Ryan Garcia thought he was ready for Tank Davis, and the world was trying to tell him, you are not ready for Tank Davis until he kept fucking pissing off Oscar De La Hoya, fighting with Bernal Hopperton on while all the cameras are on. This is supposed to be your promotional company. We're supposed to be representing you, and this is how. So they fed him to the wolves. They fed his head. You want this fight? This is what you want? Okay. And look what happened to him in the fight. So now and they're right now we're in a similar situation where more than half the fighting world believes that Ryan is might be biting off more than he can chew right here. And what everyone in the world, in fact, is counting on, that Ryan Garcia turns into this fighter that in their head they believe he can be. That's what everyone's gambling on. Everyone's gambling on the fact that they're hoping that this mysterious fantasy island fighter, Ryan Garcia, goes up against Devin Haney, because we all know he possesses the skills to be that kind of fighter. And if he was to dedicate himself, he would be a much better opponent. And because of the fact that we can see with our own two eyes that he's talented, he is a gifted fighter, but is he a disciplined fighter? It takes a lot to become a complete fighter. And in order to be a complete fighter, you have to be a complete fighter. It seems like Devin Haney right now is on his way to becoming a complete fighter. Everything he's doing is right. All I see that young man doing is training and winning fights. That's all I see. I don't see anything outside of the media and him getting cuffed up, nothing. All I see is him winning fights. So look, um, I don't know. A lot of people are on the fence whether Ryan Garcia should have gotten this fight in the first place. Did he actually deserve it? You know, uh, you know, sneakily, actually, sneakily, he kind of did. Yeah, he kind of did, right? In a sense, but, and then you can't count, well, because you got to understand, Devin Haney just acquired that belt against Regis Progress. So that cancels out everything Regis was doing, obligations. When Josh Taylor fell off as the unified world champion, which really sent the belts scattered and Teal picked up the other one, that kind of resets the clock in the division, as them in those rankings. You know what I mean? And stuff. So they were new champions. So, I mean, he got a big enough name, but I don't think talent wise he should have been given this fight. I don't. I think Devin Haney could fight much better opponents. But these are the kind of things we push our fighters in the corner. These are the fighters the fans wanted to see. They were like, oh, who do you want me to fight next? Fight Ryan Garcia, the one with the biggest mouth, not the most skilled guy, but the one with talking the most shit. And that's what they wanted to see. And when he's done with these kind of fights, I think Devin Haney should start looking forward to like securing either the belts or moving back up, because there are a lot of good people, a lot of good fighters at 147. And he'll, and if you bring everybody else with you, it seems like everybody's moving along well, you know, um, except Tank Davis. You know, Tank Davis needs to stay exactly where he is. He doesn't belong at 140, So, yeah, let me read some of these. What's up, Ricky Rodriguez? Devin ain't KO no one in 5 years. Okay, he might have not KO no one, but that doesn't mean he couldn't KO someone. Okay, because he had Regis Progress in all kinds of trouble. And I believe if Devin Haney wanted to, he could have stepped and took a chance to knock out Regis, right? But at the same time, his discipline and, him being, a student of the game, he's seen firsthand fighters go in a little too early or something, or give the other guy an opportunity. But he dropped Regis Progress. He had him. He showed him, bro, I can crack. And at the end of that fight, you looked at Regis Progress's face. He had fucking welts. All it looked like kisses, red kiss marks. He was kissed everywhere, everywhere. And then after the fight, you're gonna see the ones underneath it, the ones you don't see. So it's apparent that he hits hard enough. And for a kid, remember when you're talking about Devin Haney, you're still talking about a kid, right? Because you know he was like all of 23 years old when he started. I think he was 21 or 20 when he won his belt. He was 19 when he punked Loma, so he won a world title at 19. Okay. By 24, by 23, he had all four belts. So he's a kid. He's under 25 right now, right? So he still hasn't got his man strength, right? Uh, I'm pretty sure he's gonna start cracking when he becomes and he fully gets his man strength. And what happens when he wakes up as a man and has all this skill? We'll find out. We'll find out. Well, you want to know something right now with Devin Haney? Um, it's tough in the U.S. It's tough. American fans are really tough. You know why American fans are tough? Because America, a new dawn has rised in America. And in fact, if you haven't taken a look, go outside your house and look around. America is all races. Everyone is here. And it's not like a whole America, like everybody still supports different fighters. America, you come to America, right? And all like you're like, oh, I want to go to America because I want a better life. And you get here, and America teaches you to support other countries sometimes. They don't even support their own Americans. They'll go and support someone else. It's tough in America to get a following like Manny Pacquiao or this Japanese dude. That is tough to do. You know, Teofimo Lopez couldn't sell. You know, there are a lot of people, a lot of fighters that are really popular that struggle to sell fights. Okay. That's why these Saudis are throwing around this money and changing people's life, and I'm cool with it. You see what I'm saying? It's not easy to do it in America, man. Terrence Crawford struggled for a long time. Him and Bob Arum top rank because of some reasons. But Terrence Crawford was selling arenas, you see? And Devin Haney does sell. He sold out in Camboza's fucking thing, and that was in part of him too. They came back to see and pay to see him the second time, didn't they? When he was the champion, didn't they? Yeah, they did. You know, and sometimes you see, even though Devin Haney's young, it seems like he's been in the sport forever. And if you win too much in any sport, they'll turn on you. The fans will turn on you, won't they? And then one day you'll be going fighting in your hometown and not understanding why. They ate up Loma's little sad story about, oh, I want a shot at the title. This is all I want my whole life. Motherfucker, you been getting help the whole time. You had a glass slipper on your foot. Yeah, you were good, great. Yeah, you had two gold medals. Bro, when he came in, he had the one of the craziest backings I've ever seen. A fucking back. Oh my God. And it's you are you fucking kidding me, man? In his second professional fight, he got a world title fight. You mean to tell me that man didn't have help? Who the fuck? Yo, two professional fights. Mayweather couldn't get that for Camille Moten. And for as much money as Mayweather got, and for as much connection Mayweather got, he was trying to get Camille Moten his first fight, a world title fight against Lee Wood. And Lee Wood and the boxing committee wouldn't allow it. Lee Wood was going to take the money. I just want y'all to know this. But the boxing um sanctioning bodies wouldn't approve it on his first fight. They gave Lomachenko a title fight in his second professional fight. My man had a glass slipper the size of fucking on, bro. Come on, man. They helped that man so much. Don't you know that man lost the fight? Yeah. And then in his fourth professional fight, he gets another title fight. Bro, if you lose one title fight, it usually takes you years to get another title. You go to the bottom of the barrel, right? No, not this motherfucker. Not only did they give him another title fight, they gave him another title fight with another sanctioning body for a vacant belt. Yo, they was breaking all kinds of rules for this man. How the hell did he move up their ranking system and become the number? Get the fuck out of here. Yo, it was ridiculous how they helped this man's career. Yo, he had some of the biggest backing I've ever seen. Oh my God. They made him who he is. Yeah, he was good. Yeah. They knew he was good. See, the thing is to know how good he was, right? Because they knew that. Uh, and if anyone you were going to push along, he's got the skills to move along. So he was like, they were like, yo, let's back him. I get it. I get it. But you got to acknowledge the fact that that's what that was. You didn't like win the fights to get the fights and shit. Like, not like he did it. Like, my man, like, truly didn't come in with no gold medal, didn't have a big backing promotional company. He truly was just saying, yo, 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 excuse me. Are you the best? Yeah, yo, you know what? I'll fight you. Oh, yeah, yeah. You little, I'll fight. Yo, they're saying you're the, yo, I'll fight. Yo, you, yo, it was just dropping him. And he was coming like a fucking ninja, a silent assassin. Didn't talk shit leading into the fight. You didn't hear him. No one, all, and the guys were too embarrassed to keep reporting that they got knocked out. So it was a little under the radar, but very impressive. And he was just toof, 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 laying them, baby. And then before, listen, it was just truly his his appearance is what set him off, and they were like, "Nah, bro, he can't hit that hard." I mean, guys were just like, and then you can see their expressions in the ring change right before your eyes, and you knew the guy was in trouble. You know, when you see some of your fighters and you know this fighter's a much better fighter. Stephen Kubo Fulton was a better fighter than he was that night. I had never seen him so timid in a fight. He was like gun shy. Like he had to like motivate himself to throw a fucking punch. Like he had to like, come on, man, throw that punch. Like he was getting hit with something that obviously he was just like, you and then when you're trying to judge something, right? As a fighter, having punching power should not deter you. The fact that this Japanese dude hits that hard doesn't mean he's going to win the fight. You're supposed to learn and train how to deal with power. If he was only fast and had speed, I trained to deal with speed. I know you're going to be fast for, I got to go to your body, slow you down. There's ways around these things. It wasn't that. It must have been that it was a combination of it all. He truly had it all. Everything they said that man he was him. And you were like, wait a minute, and then you're sitting there, he's probably fighting him and he's like judging his speed. He's like, all right, let me judge this dude. And he's like, and at some point, Stephen Kubo Fulton was about to ask the referee, yo, listen, did he just hit me? How many times did he hit me? Right? Because I feel like I got hit 3 times, but I didn't see none of the punches. Are you hitting me? Because he's standing right. Shh. Did he just hit me again? Yo, they must have been blinding fast. He was like, wait a minute. He's trying to like judge it, right? He's like, wait a minute. Hmm. Oh, I'm the next one. I got this. Oh, oh, God, yo, you don't know what to do. You're like, okay. So the next thing would have been, let's see if we can go in the inside. Yo, he tried to step in. Yo, he was like, I ain't gonna do that again. Yo, he was tearing his ass up when he tried to move it. And then you would see Stephen Kubo Fulton try to get some courage. He'd slap his gloves together. Oh, mm, yo, yo, he was getting lit the fuck up. He was trying things. It was just that it was what it is. He was just better. He's just that much better. That's what it is. That's the truth. You know that expression, man, right? You know what I mean? Fuck around and what? Find out? Yeah. He fucked around and found out. Yo, for all that shit Stephen Kubo Bolton talk leading up into that fight about the Japanese dude, he was like, no, I ain't listen, he ain't faster than me. Y'all saw the interview, right? He ain't faster than me. All right. And he don't hit harder than me. And then he was trying to convince himself. Dude in the interview was like, uh-huh. Yeah, keep talking that shit. Yo, they knew. Well, I knew. I was trying to tell everyone. I was like, I don't know what the fuck y'all see, but I got proof. I got receipts for my man here went up to that fight. I was trying to tell the world. I was like, I don't know what the fuck. Why are they saying this about this dude? And I don't know what they see. But like they had me like nervous. It was like you actually watching something and them telling you that's not what you're watching, right? Right? You're like, no, that's exactly what I'm watching. No, that's not what you're watching. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe that's not what I was watching. No, you let him convince you, bro. And that's what they did to me. They were almost convincing me, like, am I fucking wrong? Is this dude garbage? Is he a hype chop? I was no. Come on, man. You've been watching fighters for a long time. You know what a fighter looks like. I'm like, yeah, I know. But there's just too many people. I was like, wow, is this many people wrong? And sure the fuck, yeah, they were. They were all of them, all of them. And you be seeing them. They be trying to give them fake love and shit. And then there's always that but with them. He's good, he's great, he got all the belts, but I think he needs to fight this guy. He needs to fight a guy in America while juggling, jumping through a hoop of fire. Right, right, right. Wait for it, buddy, because he's got to do this to be considered a champion. Okay, damn it! If there's no sharks with lasers, he's not a champion. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Yo, it's always something. They be making me laugh. Oh my god! But he's done it all. So he's done it all, man. For me anyway. Like this, he can retire fucking today and go to the Hall of Fame. Really, he can with the credentials he's got. Shit, he always, you know what I mean? They'll always say something though. They will. Man, look, I think right now I'm so glad that Jerron Boots Ennis got this shit cleared up because now shit's gonna start to move along. As you can see, Teofimo Lopez is already starting to call his shot, but I'm starting to look at Teo maybe not so much like in a bad position. I'm starting to look at Teo like maybe he like who knows? Maybe he really thinks he can beat him, or is he? Does Teo have to call out every fucking champion attach his name and clout chase? Is he always gonna be like this? Because look, If he wasn't cloud chasing when he was calling out Terrence Crawford, and I was trying to tell you guys exactly that's what he was doing, what I tell you. Is Terrence Crawford talking about fighting Tio? No. Is Tio mentioning Terrence Crawford? No. Didn't he just sign to become the mandatory to the WBO 154-pound winner out of the Tim Zoo and Sebastian Fendora? And didn't I say that Tio was cloud chasing? Right? He was cloud chasing then. And it's hard to tell when a fighter is cloud chasing or serious, about it. And the reason why I think that this one could be because he's actually just in the weight division above it. When we all knew and I knew, I was trying to tell you guys, bro, Terrence Crawford's not fighting at 147. He's moving on up. Yeah, man. He's got, now that he doesn't have all four belts, your next fight should be in another weight division. Let's close your career strong, you know? The great ones did anyway, you know? Some of the great ones did close their career strong. I gotta admit, like, like I say, Oscar De La Hoya too, in fact, he closed his career pretty strong. He still fought the top guys all the way into his way out. Oscar, he put it all on the line, even older, up there in age. He was still fighting the top guys. So, yeah. Real no, that's some real championship right there. I remember that. And I gotta honor that. You know what I mean? You can't take that away from him. That's championship shit. That's shit that we're judging like fighters like Saul Canelo Alvarez on. Where we're saying that he's not doing in fact that, but he wants to be considered a better champion than like an Oscar De La Hoya because he had all four belts. And Oscar, remind you, he lost against Bernal Hopkins at that weight for the all four belts to unify. But on that night, you see, these are the kind of legendary fights Oscar De La Hoya was involved in. Okay, because if you didn't know this, on that night in that very same fight, it's when this belt right here became official, and they finally accepted it as one of the major sanctioning bodies. That is the definitive fight in time that I believe the majority of the top fighting and the people that have the biggest voices that are like serious, like it, like this dude say it like, "Yeah, okay, I don't got that kind of voice, okay, but I'm talking about them, and that on that night, this belt became official. So according to boxing, like Hall of Fame's record, they basically make that's the point in time. So anything under that, you're not gonna get credit for. You would have to rewrite the history books, and you would have to give credit to all the WBO champions underneath that. Oh my God, there's so many. The history books, it would just throw everything out of whack. So they're counting it from that time. And that's when we started getting a four belt era, in fact. And then some people have asked me, do I believe it will become a five belt era in due time? Yes, there's another belt, a lower belt that's making a lot of noise. And you've seen already champions start to win it, the IBO. And the IBO is a smaller belt. And this is what those are the kind of belts that should be considered like interim belts, like the IBO. That should be technically the IBO belt should be an organization that just caters to all interim champions, something like that. And then the major sanctioning bodies should only have their champions. But you know how much money that would take away from they won't agree to that shit because let's say they have one belt and three interim champions. That's three paychecks just for this belt in the same weight division. Rather than just getting money for one belt, they're getting actually money for three belts and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see? So, yeah. That's how shit works, bro. You know what I mean? What? Oh, What? Naoya Inoue is a cheater. What? A cheater? He fights with three ninjas. What? He spelled ninjas wrong. Yo, listen, let me tell you. Hey, he does. Okay, there's mad ninjas in there. All right, they have him surrounded. All right, Stevie Kubo both is like, begin. He's like, wait a minute. How many hands do you have? Let me see your hands. Naoya Inoue shows him his hands, and he gets punched in the face. Where did that come from? Yo, yeah, man. Yo, listen, he's that fast, bro. He was tearing his ass up. He was beating him to the punch. You know what I'm saying? He was definitely beating Stephen Kubo Fulton to the punch. He was definitely like his first step, that initial step, was just quicker, and he had an intelligence where that I don't think that Stephen Kubo Fulton really took Naoya Inoue's intelligent boxing mind. See, because what happens in most fights, when you start get tired, when you start to go on in the fight, the fighter starts to drop off. And there's certain things that they'll drop off, whether it's in their performance or in their reads. They get mentally tired. You make mental mistakes, right? Okay. The fact that Naoya Inoue's mental, like he was making reads, and a round or two later, he would try that same trick, and he remembered it. He knew no longer could do it. And you could see his intelligence. Stephen Kubo Fulton can read his intelligence as a fighter. And he was just like, wow, I can imagine. I know this for a fact, man. He was saying to himself, because there were a lot of little things that were going on in that fight that if you didn't really know about it, you wouldn't understand it. But they knew what was going on. And like I was watching it and I was just saying, um, Stephen Kubo Fulton is fucking trying. He's trying. He was trying to will himself. He was trying to win the jab battle. He was trying to win the foot war where they were stepping on each other's feet. Everything he was doing, the Japanese dude was just shutting him down. He was blocking his jab. He took his jab away from him. He got him gun shy because he was beating him to the punch. He couldn't exchange with him. Then the power started to hit him, and then when he tried to go up top and step, he was ripping the body. He couldn't step inside, and he was fucked up. Stephen Kubo Fulton was so fucked up in the fight that he was literally standing mid range and not throwing any punches, meaning he forgot what the game plan was. He forgot what to do. He was just like, what the fuck? He was just basically walking through the motions of a boxer. He was lost in the ring. He didn't know where to go from there. All he was doing was like, at least at this range, I can block a little, try to wait to see if he makes a mistake, and be in range to capitalize on the mistake. Even though he was paying for it, that's all he could do. He wasn't quick enough to stand on the outside and tag him. He was never going to catch him. And he couldn't go in the inside because he was getting peppered. He was fucked, bro. Yo, and that's called domination. He pulled that ass up, man. It was a fucking masterpiece. They're not gonna appreciate this guy until he's gone. I'm trying to tell you, man. He was just the way he just shuts these guys down. And then when there's before life and after life with against the Japanese superstar. And you see these fighters after. They're good fighters. They're good enough to become world champions. That's saying fucking a lot, so, you know. And then like these are the kind of fighters that I speak of that, you know, one fighter is avoided, Subriel Matias. He's more avoided than people are going after him. He's the interesting one. They still somewhat can't believe what he's doing. They're watching it, they're seeing it, but they're just like, I don't believe it. Have you ever watched something you just like, Man, I don't believe that shit just happened, right? Sometimes you could be watching something and you're really just like, nah, I'm better than him. Bro, you're not better than him. Shut up. Like, yeah, I'm better than him. Time and time again, they all thought the same thing. They all met the same fate, though. And I just want to see him continue on. I'm curious. You know what I mean? I'm definitely curious. I want to see how far he can take this. Man, listen, let me read a couple of these things too before I head off. I like he got power. Well, Ryan, yeah, he belongs where he is because he outgrew 135 by a lot. I mean, that little stupid catchweight fight he had with that tank and shit and all that dumb shit that was popping off, he belongs there. The only thing with Ryan, his only problem is he just got to get serious with boxing. We all know that Ryan got all the talent in the world. And you ever hear the expression, what a shame of wasted talent? That's up to Ryan Garcia. I know he can be a great fighter. He has the potential of being one, a very skilled, he has God gift and talent, but sometimes that can be a bad thing for a fighter because when a fighter knows he's God gift and he has talent, he doesn't train and dedicate his heart because he still thinks he can win. But if you was to put hard work and dedication with God talent, you'd have a dangerous combination. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Please let's get this video a like, please. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And like always, gentlemen, I'm on to the next one. We will be going on and on Saturday and watching this fight. Join me. There's gonna be a pretty long stream, so we'll make a day of it. So bring your popcorn with you. You know what I mean? And so anyway, fight fans, I love you guys. Have a good one. From me to you, Round One Sport Talk, and I'm out. And let me give you guys because this has been a great show, great episode. Thank you guys. You guys have been awesome.